Hi, everyone, and welcome to East Coast Research's annual analyst panel. Over last year, the small cap market has seen some remarkable stories, some great challenges, and plenty of lessons for investors and companies alike. Today, we're joined by our senior research team, Rahul, Will, and Mike, to discuss some key findings they've had over last year in the small cap space and what to expect moving forward as well. Let's get straight into it, Rahul. How would you sum up the small cap market over last year?
Thanks, Roger. Look, yes, it was a challenging environment in parts with investor sentiment swinging back and forth, but we saw that quality companies which were associated with quality stories continued to cut through. Investors were indeed more selective and they placed a premium on clarity, credibility in management teams, and proximity to near-term growth catalysts. Gold continued to hold its own as a safe haven asset, and copper's structural growth story just continued to get better. What really stood out to me was the outperformance of companies which had a clear and well articulated strategic growth story. Also outperforming were companies which engaged regularly with investors and kept the market up to date. So, Roger, investor visibility really made a difference.
Yes, Rahul, that visibility was critical, especially for some of the standout results we've had on companies that we've worked on this year. Why don't you walk us through a few examples?
So, yes, we've been fortunate to work with a number of high quality companies over the last 12 months. Companies such as Brightstar, Legacy, Boab Metals, Strickland, Antipa, Somerset, Blink Lab, and Warreder. It's been really rewarding for us to collaborate with these companies and see them benefit from increased levels of investor engagement. One of the examples that I really like is for ASX ticker company BB1, Blink Lab. Now, Blink Lab is an innovative AI-powered software as a medical device play that is really materially improving the diagnosis of autism and ADHD. Since we first covered the stock a little under 6 months ago, the stock's price has basically doubled. We've helped investors, really understand Blink Lab's story better by helping to quantify the actual immense market size of the opportunity that the company can address in the US. And we've also helped investors understand the low risk of the company not actually achieving FDA approval by benchmarking the company's value proposition to key competitors in the US who have actually already achieved FDA approval.
Fantastic. And what about yourself, Will? Any insight to add to that?
I think it's definitely worth highlighting the increase in commodity prices over the past couple of months, particularly the metals. It's been a big rally in basically across the board, precious metals, critical metals, and base metals. There's been a multitude of reasons that's been driving that, including interest rate cuts from the Fed, deglobalization theme, as well as this resilience in Asia markets, improving demand there. Bringing that back to the research that we've been doing, recently we did a report on Terra Metals in the end of May, and that company has performed very well over the past couple of months, up around 70%. And a key thing for us to do here was to distill quite a complicated story, a polymetallic story, into something that was easier for our readers.
And it had a direct impact on the amount of engagement you get with that report, right?
Yeah,
So definitely a really good story there. And Mike, what's one of the most exciting ideas you've covered over last year?
Yeah, for me, it was Warrior Resources, WAA. They're a great company, great management as well. They're a gold explorer. And what really stood out to me was their ability to plan and execute on their strategy of being a cost-efficient gold explorer with antimony resources as well. We initiated coverage at the 4 cent mark, and since then, we've more than doubled. We also brought investors along the way, raising some capital for them.
Some great examples, and it's a good thought for everyone watching that the report is just the first level. It's how much we can make the story accessible and actionable as well that really helps these companies out, right? All of this starts from a macroeconomic point of view. Some of the key commodities that we've looked at over the last 12 months has included the likes of gold, copper, and antimony as well. Will, why those commodities in particular, and what are the key things you're actually looking for?
It's definitely worth touching on gold. I mean, have you seen the performance of gold in the past 5 years?
It's remarkable.
It's been amazing, isn't it? And definitely for a safe haven asset, you couldn't really ask for much more. Compound annual growth rates of 13%. And that really feeds through into explorers and producers. If they've got exposure to gold and you've got an increase in gold prices, you get better gross margins, and if you look at the company's income statement, that feeds down to their bottom line.
Exactly. And Rahul, you've been having a close look at copper.
That's right. So copper's structural growth story is premised on both demand and supply factors. On the demand side, there's been an increase in demand on copper due to the push towards clean and renewable sources of energy. Additionally, benefiting demand has been the fact that there's been increased levels of industrialization around the world, which pushes up demand for electrification. On the supply side, we think that the market is still actually underestimating the structural supply deficit that copper is facing. And our view is that this deficit will actually continue to exist across the investment horizon.
Yes, and Mike, and you've been looking at another very important commodity in a big deficit.
Yeah, so I've been looking at antimony. Antimony is one that's often overlooked, but it's been experiencing a supply restriction at the moment, given China's recent export ban. It's also experiencing a lot of demand pull, given that you have the electrification dynamic, you're getting electric vehicle energy storage, and also a lot of defense applications as well. This key supply and demand imbalance has been a key thematic that investors are starting to wake up to.
And Mike, just following up on that, right? Putting the commodity aside as well, what are some other key criteria that you look for when analyzing a company?
Yeah, so we like to have credible management. We like strong fundamentals, a good strategy that they're able to really unlock a lot of shareholder value, and we like a capital structure that's built for success.
That's right, Mike. So we look for companies that have a clear, well-articulated growth narrative and a strong value proposition that will resonate well with our investors.
Exactly right. And as we know, identifying companies is only the first half, right? The other half is how much engagement you actually get with these companies. Some of the biggest feedback we get from the CEOs that we work with is how active our investors actually are. They don't just read our reports, Rahul, right? They actually act on it. And over last year, we've actually raised a lot of capital through our 708s for multiple companies, the likes of Warrior, Blink Lab, Nimi Resources as well. All companies have done really well. How did this actually all come together?
Yeah, great points, Roger. And this is exactly our point of differentiation. Our research reports don't just sit idle on a website. They're actually accessed and actioned upon by a growing and sophisticated group of high net worth investors, self-managed super funds, and family offices who take our research advice seriously and take action upon it when they see value. And as a result, we are quite selective in the companies that we work with. East Coast research clients can also benefit from the fact that this visibility to our investor network grows over time due to our parent company's shares in value. The investor audience that Shares in Value brings grows each month. It's not just about increased investor visibility. Our 708 network has played an instrumental role in helping companies raise capital, Roger.
Exactly right, Rahul. So it's not just the research, right? It's the fact that these companies can leverage a whole network from visibility, engagement, and like Rahul mentioned, the actual opportunity to raise capital through our strong network of 708. Now, what I want to do essentially is go around and we can all talk about one company we're most excited for the year ahead. Rahul, do you want to start it off?
Sure, Roger. So I'm very excited about Magnetic Resources, ASX ticker MAU. So Magnetic has Western Australia's second highest grade open pittable at scale gold deposit that is still currently under development. So since we first covered the stock around 12 months ago, gold prices have gone up from Aussie 3,700 to being around now Aussie 5,100. And at the same time, Magnetic's gold resources have gone up by around 25%. So we think that both these factors working together in confluence will add to our bullish investment thesis for Magnetic. Additional factors have also come on board in the same time period. For example, President Trump's trade policies and the associated weakening of the US dollar will also ensure that gold prices remain at elevated levels across the investment horizon, benefiting Magnetic.
Yeah, it's positioned very well, especially what's happening in America right now. Well, what about you? What's a good company you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, one to watch, I would say Strickland Metals, STK.
Yes.
It's a copper gold play, and I'm bullish both those commodities. Its flagship project is in Serbia, the Rogozna project, and yeah, it has a fantastic balance sheet, good management, and plenty catalysts for a re-rating from here.
Fantastic. Mike?
Yeah, for me, it's Amaero 3DA. They're a US-based leading materials and manufacturing company. They're the largest capacity and lowest cost producer of C103 and titanium spherical powders. They're run by a great management. It's deeply discounted relative to net asset value and their near-term production. They have strong institutional backing, which gives me a high conviction that they have great growth potential.
Yes, these are three great stories to watch. And it's a good reminder for everyone watching today that there are some good opportunities out there. It's just about knowing where to look, right? So on that note, Rahul, Will, and Mike, thank you guys for your time today. Some really good insight on what to expect with the small cap space moving forward. For everyone watching today as well, thank you for your time as well. And we look forward to uncovering the next wave of opportunities in the small cap space. Thank you.